Perched above Kapalama Heights, Kamehameha Schools is a towering symbol of Hawaiian pride, a legacy of the Hawaiian monarchy. Admission is an honor, a princess's gift, education, and opportunity.
Sometimes I get emotional about this, but the pride we had to be chosen.
It was probably the proudest moment of my life. I worked really hard to get in.
When I got into the Kamehameha Schools in 7th grade, I was just very hopeful that it gave opportunity that I thought wasn't available in Hilo for us.
When I was first entering Kamehameha Schools, I was the first from my family to attend. And there was a lot of, I felt a lot of pressure on my shoulders, to do well and to enable my siblings the same opportunity.
Lambert Lee Loy's 5 brothers were all eventually accepted into the prestigious school founded by Hawaiian royalty. The sprawling campus has dorms. The Liloys were from a large Hilo homestead family. Chris Conant was from Kauai. Almost all of the boys lived on campus at various times, between the mid-60s and early 80s, but they had one thing in common. They were all repeatedly sexually abused by psychiatrist Dr. Robert McCormick Brown.
He said that this therapy would break down walls. Remember now, I'm a small kid, 12 years old.
Emmett Lee Loy is now an attorney. His brother, Lambert Lee Loy, a doctor in Kona.
It was very powerful, the effect that he had on each of us.
The boys were sent to see Dr. Brown, whose office was downhill from campus at Liliha's St. Francis Hospital. Kamehameha employees drove them as often as once a week. They were referred for various reasons, being homesick, trouble adjusting, acting out in school. For Lambert Lee Loy, Dr. Brown suggested therapy after the death of another student, his friend. Blake Conant was not a patient of Dr. Brown while at Kamehameha, but his brother Chris was.
He was really kind of an introvert, very bashful, very shy.
Blake says he noticed a difference in Chris's behavior right after he began to see Dr. Brown.
And then all of a sudden he was just like withdrawn, even more so. It was as if he were in a stupor. It's like the life was sucked right out of him.
Blake says Dr. Brown drugged his brother, who became addicted to drugs and alcohol. Homeless, Chris was living in Ala Moana Beach Park. He died in 2011. His death certificate says suicide by overdose.
In order to remain at the school, I had to go.
Gerald Carell now lives in Seattle, Washington. Speaking to us via Skype, he says the abuse started at the very first session.
When I got to Dr. Brown, I was told I had to have a physical exam. So I had a physical exam. I stripped down to my underwear, and then he started touching me all over.
The stories of abuse are similar. The growing anxiety as Kamehameha staff drove down Alewa Heights to Dr. Brown's office, knowing what was waiting for them at the end, a cottage separate from the hospital. None of them shared their stories, not even with their own brothers. For decades, they suffered silently.
The fact that I never told anyone, that's the result of 5 years of grooming. 5 years of being told not to say a word.
How did you find out that it wasn't just you?
I think the first inkling was when Emmett called me to let me know that he had confronted Dr. Brown and that Dr. Brown had denied what he had obviously performed with Emmett and my other siblings. As from that point forward, I began to realize that I was not the only one.
Emmett had called Dr. Brown on October 30th, 1991, after realizing there were others.
He starts breaking down, crying like that. He starts crying on the phone. Oh, I'm sorry. He's just doing this crybaby thing on the phone. I said, you're not sorry for what you did. You're sorry for getting caught.
The next day, Dr. Brown was found dead. He had shot himself. His suicide brought the years of secrets to the surface, unleashing decades of repressed anger.
It just made me realize what a horrible monster this person was.
This guy was not a psychiatrist. He was a predator. He was a predator. He preyed on young boys of poverty. He preyed on young boys of Hawaiian descent.
Young boys turned men. It would still take years to find each other and discover they were far from alone. While piecing together how such a widespread crime could have been hidden for so long, the men wondered who else at Kamehameha knew and what was done about it. Court filings and recordings point to a pattern of secrecy in part 2 of our special report, Under Oath and on Video.
Never reported that to
I never reported that. I never reported it to the officials.
Former head of Kamehameha Schools, Michael Chun, says who he did tell and the response he got.
For more investigative and in-depth reports, download Investigate TV.